Hey guys, tonight we'll be making the balsamic glazed salmon. As our recipe says, you can either go with chicken or salmon, but tonight I'll be showing you the salmon option. So I hope everybody's enjoying the meal plan so far. If you're going according to schedule, this meal will be for tomorrow night, but wanted to show you tonight just so you can see how to assemble it. If you have any questions, let us know, but let's go ahead and get started. If it's too noisy, the kids are upstairs, I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me, but it shouldn't take too long, so let's get started. Okay, so have pretty much things set up here. Although the recipe calls for salmon, this is actually steelhead trout. And a couple reasons why I chose to go that route. One is because it was less expensive than the wild caught salmon in my store, so I went with the more economical option. And so sometimes you gotta go with better sense, what makes more sense as far as spending. So if it's cheaper and you can go another route, go another route. But if you have salmon, don't worry about it. It's the same exact thing. This steelhead trout, which is different from rainbow trout, it eats very similar to salmon, and I actually like it a little bit better because it's more moist, I feel like, than salmon is. So this is what I'm using for tonight, but everything else stays the same. So we have our balsamic vinaigrette here. What I'm going to do is, by the way, salt and peppered. I didn't pepper it. I put salt and pepper the salmon, or in this case, trout. And that's just been sitting for a few minutes. In here for my balsamic vinaigrette, I'm going to add the honey. And the measurements that are on the menu may make a little bit more than you need for the fish, but if you have extra, just save it, put it in the fridge, and make again with chicken the following week or some days down the road. So don't feel like if you have leftovers you can't use it again for a marinade of another meat throughout the week. I'm going to do the thyme, and I'm going to add some minced garlic. So the recipe says sliced garlic cloves, which is fine, but I'm gonna go ahead and use the minced with the salmon for tonight. And then you're gonna give it a good stir it up, get everything all nice and mixed up. This is our marinade. For the chicken option, is going to be a few more things. There's some tomato, there's some onions, there's some peppers, but for the salmon route, we took those things out. If you wanted to try it with those, feel free to go ahead. Let us know what you thought with keeping the onions and the tomato and the peppers in for the salmon, but for the sake of the recipe, we're going to go ahead and stick with removing those things. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to the marinade. And then simple as that, you guys, that's it. Let me put a little bit more honey. Give it a nice stir again. And then I chose to put the fish in the glass baking dish because since we're doing a liquid marinade, we want something that's gonna catch all of the juices. So I think the recipe says you can use a baking dish with foil covering it. But if your baking dish has like a lip around it, that can work as well. But for this sake, and with such a loose and liquid marinade, I decided to put it in the glass baking dish. So once this is all mixed up, go ahead and just pour over your fish like so. Deliciousness. Deliciousness. Yes. And if don't worry about it dripping off to the side. I'm gonna let this sit for a few minutes And what we can do also is get a spoon, and any parts that you missed, just go ahead and scoop it up and drizzle it back over so that the whole thing is beautifully coated and covered. And then again, I'm gonna let it sit for just a few minutes to absorb all of those delicious flavors so that it can penetrate the flesh of the salmon and get all to the insides. All right, so that's that. Salmon, gonna let it sit for a few minutes and then I will be right back. All right guys, so I've had this marinating for about 10 minutes now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the oven, 400 degrees, for anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes, depending upon the thickness of the fish. So rule of thumb is, I believe it's about 10 minutes per inch of thickness for a fish. But you wanna make sure that it's just done all the way through. So I'm going to put it in first for 10 to 12 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it to broil and just give it a little color on the top for an additional maybe 4 to 5. Okay, so doing that now. Set my timer. All right, and then here I have some green onion. So recipe calls for dried chives, which is perfectly fine, but instead of using those, because I had these on hand, these are in the fridge, and before they go bad, I decided, let me grab my knife. I decided that once it's finished, and to finish it off on the top with sesame seeds, which we have here, and chives, I decided I was gonna go ahead and use the green onion since I had them. So sometimes you could change a little bit to use what you have. So if the recipe calls for something, but you're like, you know what, I can use this instead of, or I want to use these vegetables up before they go bad, feel free to do that. So that's what these are here for. These are for when it's finished, we're just going to sprinkle the top with some green onion and sesame seeds, and boom, done. All right, y'all. I'm about to take it out the oven and do the unveiling. Suck it, suck it, suck it, suck it. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. So what you can do is get some of that extra glaze and just rub it on. So this is after having it cooked it for at 400 for 10 minutes and then let it broil for about 4, or put it on broil and let it just get a little bit more color on top for 4 minutes. And then all we're gonna do is, hold on, let me get it off the mount so you guys can see this up close. Here, let me turn this around. Here it is up close. Is that not gorgeous? Now we can sprinkle it with a little bit of green onion. A little bit of green onion. And our sesame seeds. Ooh, y'all. Bam. Bam. Look at that. If that doesn't look delicious, I don't know what does.